All right, so welcome to the Schoolnet Filling the Gap webinar. You will be learning pertinent information on how to create testing accommodations in Schoolnet. This is an online assessment application. My name is Debbie Ann Webley-Smith, and I will be your presenter this afternoon. So as teachers, have you ever had the desire to meet all the needs of your students and sometimes fall short due to limited time and or resources? Have you ever wondered if there was an easier way to meet your students' needs, but not sure of how to get it done? So I'm sure we all have had that as teachers before. Well, I hope this webinar can shed some light on making testing accommodations to students with IEPs and 504 plans in Schoolnet. So for those who don't know, IEPs are individualized education plan that the school put together for students with disabilities. And a 504 plan is developed to ensure that a child who has a disability identified under the law receives accommodations that will ensure his or her success. So at the end of the webinar, you will be able to accommodate students' needs using their PNP, and this is their personal needs profile. You will also create a test, making sure that it meets the standard of all learners. So before we dive into the meat of the matter, let's check out the first polling question. So the polling question is, have you ever used the personal needs profile tab in Schoolnet? No. 2 persons, 3 persons, 4 persons said no. Okay. This Cash is driving.
Yeah,
all right, so everybody has said no, they have not. So we are in the right place. So we're gonna use the PNP to make accommodations for students. So what is the PNP? This profile can be found in the student profile section of the Schoolnet dashboard. It is here that students' accommodations are first checked before it will show up in TestNav, and this is when they go online to take their assessment. So how are we going to enable this? There are 2 ways of doing this. First, you select students' appropriate accommodations based on their documentation. And the second way of doing it is to enable these accommodations when scheduling an assessment. So this is an example IEP. This is an old one. They have an updated version of it. So let's look at the students' accommodation and find some accommodations that we are going to look for to bring up when we get on in their PNP. So I want you to use the chat and tell me what you have read from this document, some of the students' specific accommodations that you would want to adhere to in the classroom and online. So the chat icon is at the bottom of your screen.
I don't see it.
At the bottom, it's like a speech bubble.
I'm driving, so I can't do it.
You can't do it?
I'm driving.
Do you see yours, Melissa?
I do.
You do? Rebecca, do you see yours? Miss Davis Lewis?
I do.
I'm seeing Miss Davis Lewis responding. She sees that this child needs a read aloud in English. Yes, and there are others. It says he needs testing accommodations in a separate room. Yes, and small groups as well. So great. So we need to remember these accommodations because test in separate room, Miss Newbull said that. So we're gonna remember these accommodations because when we get further in the presentation, we are going to look for this child's accommodations in his PNP. So let's learn how to create these accommodations. So if you are able, please follow along while I go through the steps. So my teachers, you can do that while Melissa, you will just watch, and Rebecca. So if you're not able to do so, you'll be provided with a handout that you can use as reference. All right, so you would have to go into rapid identity. So for Melissa and Rebecca, this is what our school uses to give testing accommodations, to create assessments, to do a number of things, but we are focusing on this icon, the Schoolnet icon. So we'll click on that, and then we go, this is just a screenshot of the page that it will look like when you get there. So Miss Newbull, Miss Davis Lewis, you'll be able to see your name. Welcome back. Angela, welcome back. Angela, because we have two Angelas. And welcome back, Annie. So you would go down the page and you would get to a page, a section that has the student's name. But I, of course, for privacy, for the students' privacy, I block their names out. Anywhere where you see blue, you can click on that. So if you see your child, the child who needs an accommodation IP based on their IP documentation, you will look for that child who has taken a test, and you'll click on that child's name, and it will take you directly to the student profile. So let's say Johnny is that student, and it takes you to this page, the student profile, his name, and his student ID I have covered for privacy. And at the top of the page, you will see these tabs. The Test Nav PNP tab would take you to the student's personal needs profile. So when you click on that now, it will take you to that section where you see all their accommodations. So based on what we found out about our friend earlier, where he needed read aloud, which one of these options would you choose for our friend to have in Schoolnet when he goes on to take his assessment? So you can type it in chat. Tell me what you would choose. Melissa, text to speech, excellent. Of course, everybody, right? Yay. Yes, text to speech, definitely. But you'll see that, of course, he has other accommodations that you could give him based on his IEP. So he could get color contrast. There's a button where you can look at other colors that he could get. Answer masking, line reader mask, magnifier. Of course, text to speech. So when you click on text to speech, you choose if you want the voice to be male or female, if you want the speed of the voice to be slow, normal, or go at a faster pace. You can even give this child extra time, give a percentage of the time, and you can even give that child unlimited time. And of course, we have the calculators, the different type of calculators that they can use online, and you would click on those. So this is where you go first to identify specific children, the specific children in your class that needs accommodations. So it's your turn to create an accommodation in PNP. That would be my teachers. Any questions?
No.
Questions? No?
No.
Okay, great. All right, so now that's the first step. We just identified our friend who needed a particular accommodation, which is text to speech, because he needs to be read aloud too. So now we're gonna take that information and create a test. So let's quickly recap what we just learned. So you go to the Schoolnet dashboard, you click on the student's name, you'll be taken to the student profile, and then you select test, the test nav tab, which will take you to his accommodations. So we're gonna switch gears and we're going straight into rapid identity. So I'm gonna stop sharing and take you to rapid identity. I'm still here. It's taking me a while to get there. Okay. Can you see what I'm seeing? No? You seeing me?
Don't see it. We see you.
Okay. It's not doing what I want to do, what I want it to do. All right, so I'm making it bigger. All right, here it is. All right, so here we are. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Rapid identity?
Yes.
NC Cloud, great. So you go, I'm just doing this, just going basically so that everybody can see where we were. So we were here, and then we click that, and we get to this page. And then I can go to assessments two ways. I can click on this straight away, and it will take me to a page where it tells me about the assessments that I have done and I have created. It's taking forever. And there is another way that we can get there. We can click on this arrow and we can click on create. And then we have 3 actions we could take. We want to create an express test. I'm gonna create a math test for my 5th grade students. So the first time when I clicked, that was taking a long time. This was the page that would have come up. And then here I would go to create a test. And it will take me to the same page that I had gone to earlier. So that's a little, convoluted, very long. So I'm gonna create a test. So I'm doing NBT6, and this is my practice 3 test, because I made 2 other tests just to expedite the process. So it's a math test, so I click on math real quickly. I wanna be forever here. And this document is a math document. I want to share it with all my 5th grade teachers. So it's a shared classroom test. Why I took you here is for you to see the test settings. Remember we went to PNP, clicked on some things for our friend Johnny. So now I'm gonna look for it to make sure it is there. So I'm scrolling down and I'm looking. Here it is. It's highlighted text to speech. So the children who has that particular accommodations checked, they are going to get this text-to-speech accommodation on their test. So here now I'm gonna move on to selecting the standards, and we go through that. All right, so we are moving on to, I created the test. So here's the test. The point of this activity is for you to see how to get the accommodations done. So now I clicked on text-to-speech to make sure it's done. So now you see this section here that says generate text-to-speech. So before I move on from private draft right here, I click on generate text-to-speech. It's gonna take forever again, but I created one that already has text-to-speech content ready. So it's gonna spin, and then it's gonna come up here to say that it is ready. So that means when I schedule my test, it's gonna have, the test is gonna read for that child in TestNav. So once I've done that, then the next step is to make my test public. That's gonna take forever today. and it goes on to a public draft 2, and then I'm gonna ready the test, so it's okay. But there's a step I want to take before I end this session, the scheduling section. So in the scheduling section, you set the day when you want the test to be taken, and the end date. So today, we're in the month of March, the 12th, and I want the test to go on. So for instance, some children are sick because, you know, flu season, and they may not be here to take the test today or tomorrow. So I extend it, and I extend the score date time. I also click on show student scores upon test submission, so they can see how much they get before they log out. And then what I normally do too is to click this box, track and display student response times. Why I do that? While they are taking the test, I can see what they are doing while they are doing the test. So we get a dashboard called a proctor dashboard. So you can see how the children are working, who is in the test, who hasn't begun the test, the answers they're choosing, if they're wasting time, all of that. When you click this, you can get all that information. And then you move on to publishing your test. So, any questions, ladies?
Questions?
Any questions?
No.
No?
No questions so
No
far, but
questions.
thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Very
Great.
clear.
All right. So I want to go back to my PowerPoint presentation. Can you see my presentation? Can you see this? Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Yes.
So another polling question quickly before time runs out. So I want to know, did this webinar meet a need? Did it meet a need you had? So let's hear it. Yes, no, maybe so. Yes, 2. Wow. Yes. 4. Yay. So we are learners. Great. So it did meet a need. I am happy.
Yes.
All right. So any questions? Any questions? No?
No.
So that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you being so attentive and taking part. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I would